Hello, my name is Alexandra Hackett. I often go by Lexi. I am answering the interview questions. Um, to tell about a team that I have enjoyed working on is probably going to be the team that I have worked on the longest, which would be at my current job at the Mona Community Center. I worked first as a lifeguard, then I became a swim instructor, a swim team coach, then I got certified as a Red Cross instructor, and I taught people how to become lifeguards, and I eventually worked into a management role at that facility. I most enjoyed working with that team because everybody wanted to be there. It was enjoyable to be with other people who were having a good time at work, and because everybody had built friendships. So building friendships is a major thing that goes into the workplace, especially if you're going to be seeing your coworkers so often. And I think that's why it's the most enjoyable, because we had formulated such incredible friendships. The second question is, tell about a time you experienced exceptional customer service and how that changed the way you serve customers. After working into a leadership position at the facility that I used to work at, as a manager, we had the ability to do a request for modification. So a lot of that had to do with our inclusion program, which was working with special needs, and things at a water park where I worked were kind of hard for other people with disabilities to do. So I worked with our inclusion supervisors, and we created a night specifically for people with senses issues and things of that nature to have a rental for the water park with no music on, way less people, modifications for people to go down the slide. And after this night had begun, we had so many people come up to us and express their gratitude for being so inclusive and thinking about things like this, because so many people had issues going to a public place like a water park because their children just were not able to handle the things of that, and they got easily overwhelmed. So I think that creating an environment with a lot of work for those people was a major customer service thing that we did, and it attributes to a lot of what I think about working with almost everybody now, and that's why it's been so impactful for me. The third question, thinking about diversity, how do you encourage an inclusive environment? Well, looking back at my last question, there's so many things that you can do to include other people or slightly modify any activity for anybody to be able to do it. I think that everybody should feel that they are involved around campus. Everybody should feel like they have a place, somebody to talk to. So I think that outside of specifically making modifications for people to be able to be involved in whatever it may be that they would like to be involved in, just speaking to people like they're people, not having any opinions formulated before you actually get to know somebody, and just being outgoing in that you don't care what may be different about some people. You respect their uniqueness, but you want them to know that you don't think any less of them for any reason. Give an example of a time that you had to explain a complicated process to a person. I had many issues that I had to deal with as the manager of a almost 200-person staff and thousands of people coming through every day. And one was a medical emergency in which a person had a heat-related injury, heat-related illness, and explaining to them that they genuinely did have to go get the care that they need. It's complicated to explain things to some people that it's not what they want to hear. The person did end up having to leave. We could not have the responsibility on us. They would not consent to any sort of help. We had to ask them to leave, and that was hard to explain to them because all they wanted to do was go to a water park that day. And if you're explaining something to somebody and it's not the answer that they would like, it's hard for them to either wrap their heads around it or just not get their way. However, many things are put in place so that everybody's just able to be safe, get the resources that they need, or have a good time. An area in which I feel I need improvement, and an area in which I excel. An area that I feel that I need improvement is having the right answer for people who don't want to hear that right answer. So making a compromise can be very difficult to do when there are regulations in place, particularly in a workplace. I think that it's important to make people feel heard and understand that I know that the answer that I'm giving you right now is not the one that you would like to hear. However, this is our regulation. I can try my best to find a compromise so that everybody leaves the situation happy. And I think finding that compromise, being a creative thinker, I guess in that nature, is what I would like to be able to, a weakness that I would like to be able to overcome. Something that I excel in is a lot of communication. I think that I have a great ability to make a quick personal connection with somebody so that everybody feels respected in any situation, as well as being organized. I think that organization makes everything so much easier. If your thoughts are organized, your space is organized, then it's a lot easier to get tangible things that you need, or thoughts being organized, workplace being organized, being able to most efficiently and effectively help everybody that will come into contact with you. A challenge that I had to overcome and what steps I had to take to overcome it, and would I do anything differently if I had been faced with that challenge again. A challenge that I had to overcome was leaving my sister for college. So I've been in college for 2 years now, so this is a little different, but I have a twin sister, and she had been going through a really rough patch in relation to neuro issues. She has had over 13 concussions, and she's my best friend. So sort of leaving behind that responsibility was a major step, not just for me, but for her as well, and not being able to work with her through that thing was a major challenge that I had to take. So the steps that I had to do was formulate a new way that we were going to be able to communicate and still feel connected to each other, and it's still very possible. It is a hard thing to do. If I were faced with the exact situation again, leaving, I probably would have thought further into the future. I am both very easily thinking towards the future very often. However, coming up with distinctive plans and steps in order to follow is hard to do until you're actually in the situation itself. So I wish that I had been able to sort of comprehend more of what was going to happen and then be able to formulate a plan for that prior to coming to school. And what are 3 things I want you to remember the most about me? I would say that number 1 is that I'm hardworking. If you ever need anything done, I'm usually the person to go to. I'm very flexible in what I need to be doing, how my job can change day to day, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I want you to know that I am organized, particularly when I was working as a hostess and then as a receptionist. This was very huge to them. You have to be able to stay organized, keep everybody that is in your facility in check in the way that you know where everything is, you know everything that needs to be happening, and ensure that everything is happening. And then the last thing is that I'm a great conversationalist and great at communication. This is very important to me. I think that everybody should be able to just sit down and have a conversation. There's no need to be disrespectful or rude, and there's so many different ways that you can easily comprehend what the other person is thinking at the moment. Thank you so much for your time and reviewing this interview as well as my entire application. I look forward to hearing back from you guys. Thank you.